This week on Christian World News, Donald Trump is fighting for the evangelical vote, meeting with hundreds of faith leaders in his bid to win the presidency.
Plus, persecution is so severe in Pakistan, many Christians are fleeing to safety in Thailand. But even when they arrive, their troubles are far from over.
And millennials are the largest and least church generation in the country. But that's not the whole story. Is there still hope? Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Christian World News. I'm George Thomas.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. Here in the U.S., Donald Trump is working hard to win over Christian voters, meeting with hundreds of evangelical leaders this week.
It was a very important meeting. By the way, he's going to need that crucial voting bloc to have a real shot at winning the presidency. CBN's David Brody was inside the private meeting.
Times Square always hustles and bustles, but just blocks away, the Marriott Marquis Hotel buzzed with activity of another kind, a private meeting between Donald Trump and evangelical leaders. It was a private event, but CBN News was permitted inside to observe. From mega-church pastors to longtime stalwarts, they heard Trump speak out about defending religious liberty, including his desire to get rid of IRS restrictions that muzzle political talk from the pulpit. Trump said a repeal may be, quote, my biggest contribution to Christianity. In that room, among the 900 evangelical leaders or so, there were quite a few that were not for Trump going into the meeting. After the meeting, well, some minds are changing.
The ball has moved forward a little bit, and I appreciate Mr. Trump's willingness to reach out to the evangelical community. After hearing him today, I will prayerfully consider it as a possibility in light of the alternative.
That alternative is Hillary Clinton. Trump made clear his Supreme Court picks would make them proud, unlike what Clinton might bring to the table. Trump also talked about how evangelicals need to band together because their rights and values are under attack. What pleased some attendees was that Trump didn't appear to make any major mistakes or give reason for pause.
I can't remember any time during the several hours this morning that his answer disappointed or there was chagrin about it.
Trump's senior advisor Sarah Huckabee also attended and spoke with CBN News.
He did something that most Republican nominees in the past have refused to do, and that's walk into this room and be willing to sit down, take their questions, and really interact with them in a very big way.
With some evangelicals still wary, the brash outsider will need more outreach. But for now, it seems to be working.
As it pertains to the evangelical vote and the candidacy of Donald J. Trump, today's meeting may very well be a tipping point.
Pro-family leader Sammy Rodriguez says he knows plenty of pastors who were skeptical before the meeting, but inside something changed.
After hearing his commitment, his very well-defined, articulated commitment to religious liberty and life, the Supreme Court especially, I think you saw a number of the same pastors walk out going, that's what I needed to hear.
And that's something the Trump campaign needed to hear after a rough few weeks of headlines. It will be important for them to build on any progress here by getting evangelicals to move beyond words and work actively for Trump among their flocks. David Brody, CBN News, in New York City.
Thanks, David. At least 25 evangelical leaders signed on to be part of Trump's religious advisory board. Find out who's on the list and who's not at our website, cbnnews.com.
Religious liberty has become a huge issue for evangelicals in America, and a recent incident is just one more example. An Air Force retiree was dragged out of a military retirement ceremony for using the word God during his flag folding speech. 4 officers stood up during Oscar Rodriguez's speech and carried him out of the room. Rodriguez says the incident was humiliating.
To have my fellow family throw me out of the ceremony because of the mention of God is beyond me. I stood up, went to my position, faced the audience, and this individual comes up to me and he says, "You're not going to do this, are you?" I'm thinking, so what is he talking about? That I'm really going to do what? Mention God? Yeah, I'm really going to do that. As soon as I hear my cue, I start with my speech. And they grab me and they pull me, they assault me as the flag is open because I dare to mention God.
The tragic irony here is that flag-folding speech talks about the fact that the United States flag stands for freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of conscience. And it was those very words that resulted in Oscar being assaulted and forcibly dragged away by men wearing the uniform of the United States Air Force, men who are sworn to protect people like Oscar and their right to engage in that very speech.
Ironic indeed. The Pentagon has begun an investigation into the Air Force's actions. The Air Force said they highly value the right to exercise religious liberty, but Rodriguez is still waiting for an apology.
Almost 2/3 of Americans believe Christians face growing intolerance in their country. In the same survey, by the way, many also felt Christians complain too much. Heather South shows us how this is playing out in the church.
Most Christians are all too familiar with real threats to their religious liberty. They range from wedding vendors who want the right to refuse a gay ceremony to faith-based colleges fighting California lawmakers who want to strip them of their ability to hold religious convictions. Biola University President Barry Corey says Christian colleges must be able to maintain their beliefs.
The bill says you can have standards of housing and you can have standards of conduct, but we can't enforce them because that would be discriminatory.
Christians have felt and fought these threats for years, and now new research shows that almost 2/3 of Americans also understand this growing intolerance.
That's not a fringe belief. That's the majority American belief.
Within the church, believers are still coming to terms with this intolerance, what it means in daily life.
And the Bible says, in this life, you will have troubles. You will have persecutions. And let me tell you, that time is here.
I think there's no question that evangelicals think that in one way they kind of lost their home field advantage.
Another challenge for the church is that most young people don't buy the intolerance argument. Only 40% agree that it's true. Lifeway also found that 4 in 10 Americans believe Christians complain too much about how they're treated. 19-year-old Faith Haley often sees religion used as a political weapon.
I've seen a lot of hate and a lot of anger, and that is really upsetting, especially when it's done in the name of God.
So Christians see an opportunity by striking a delicate balance, help the public understand the need for religious freedom without coming across as whiners. That's why President Corey recently wrote Love Kindness to encourage Christians towards greater civility while maintaining their convictions.
We want to lead with grace and kindness.
More and more Christian leaders believe this kind of appeal is necessary in a time when so many understand so little about what it means to follow Christ. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thanks, Heather. Coming up, meet the Christians who fled persecution in Pakistan and then found out that their new home wasn't much better.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. 8 years ago, my husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Inside every child is a hero, a leader, a friend to others, someone who helps out, who does the right thing, who dreams of what they can be, but they still need our help.
What should I do? What should I say? How should I feel?
That's where Superbook comes in. It provides moral and spiritual truths through situations children can relate to, teaching God's Word to the children you love. Join the Superbook DVD Club and receive Superbook's newest episodes as they're available, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25. Get Superbook today and watch the miracles happen.
Welcome back. 2 Pakistani Christians have been sentenced to jail for 6 years on blasphemy charges. Premier reports they were detained after a pastor published a poster referring to Muhammad. A spokesman from a charity that provides free legal aid to persecuted Christians says, quote, Christians are living under constant threat in Pakistan because of growing misuse of the blasphemy law. Just last month, 3 other Christians were charged with blasphemy, a crime that could cost them their lives.
Pakistan is one of the most dangerous countries in the world for Christians. The persecution there is so severe that record numbers of people have been fleeing their own country. One place they're going is Thailand. But as I discovered in Bangkok recently, life for them is anything but easy. With his voice quivering and tears filling his eyes, Mustaq Faisal said he had no choice but to leave Pakistan.
My life is full of challenges.
Muslim neighbors accused the young Christian of tearing pages from the Quran, so they wanted his family killed.
I was so scared. I told them I would never do anything like that to their holy book, but they didn't believe me.
Fearing for their lives, Faisal took his wife Samina, son Joshua, and fled to Thailand with hopes of starting a new life free from Islamic death threats.
The moment we arrived in Thailand, I submitted our asylum application with the UN.
But 6 months after arriving in country, Faisal still had not heard back from the UN's agency responsible for protecting refugees. And with the family's 3-month tourist visa expired, the Thai government sent immigration police after them.
I was not at home when the Thai police came to our apartment. My wife told them she was a heart patient and that they should not arrest her, but they didn't listen.
Under Thai law, any refugee who overstays their tourist visa is illegally in country. The arrested, like Samina, are taken in caged vans to an immigration detention center, or IDC.
She was okay for the first 3 days, but then she got very ill on December 20th.
Faisal pleaded with the UN to help his sick wife.
I kept asking, I kept crying, but they did not listen to me.
He begged detention guards to give her heart medications.
I told him that if you don't do anything, she will die.
The name Jesus Christ.
Wilson Chowdhury, a Christian human rights advocate, tried to intervene, but wasn't too hopeful based on past experience.
What we found is that the wardens meant to be protecting these detainees, deny them access to healthcare and medicines.
His group and others obtained images showing inhumane conditions inside the IDC facility, including of men chained like dogs.
The stench as you walk in is overpowering. The toilets, there are 2 toilets to serve over 200 people.
And in some cases, 200 people crammed in rooms that barely fit 100.
So they're sleeping one on top of each other, or they'll be sleeping crouching or standing up.
On December 30th, 2015, the UN finally responded to Faisal, but with news that his wife Samina had died.
My life is so terrible right now. We face so many difficulties in Pakistan, and that's why we escaped to Thailand. Now I'm here, and my wife is dead. What am I supposed to do? My son keeps asking, where is mommy? But I don't have the courage to tell him the truth.
6 other Pakistani Christian refugees have died in Thai detention centers. More than 100,000 Pakistanis have fled their homeland because of rising Islamic violence. Reports say nearly 11,000 are in Thailand, many of them Christians. The problem is the government here doesn't want any refugees from anywhere. And since Thailand is not a signatory to a UN agreement on asylum seekers, folks like George Naz face a precarious future.
We were treated as second-class citizens in Pakistan. Now we come here and we face similar conditions.
Naz is a wanted man in Pakistan. In 2013, he was accused of blasphemy by an Islamic court, but escaped to Thailand. For now, he hides and waits. An illegal with no right to work, no access to schools or hospitals.
I'm scared to go outside my building because the immigration police or army can arrest me at any moment.
CBN News visited a housing complex in Bangkok where scores of Pakistani Christian families are crammed into small apartments, many living illegally.
For example, we live in one room with 4 other families. Our kids cannot go to school because they are also considered illegal. So the whole day we just sit at home.
For a few hours on Sunday morning, a handful of Pakistani Christian families brave arrest to attend the secret church service. Stranded in Thailand for years, many here hope and pray for designated UN refugee status and eventually the chance to settle in a third country. In the meantime, a few Christian NGOs are helping them and others with food and living expenses. But the needs are overwhelming. For now, though, Faisal clings to the one thing he knows will bring comfort. He reads verses from Psalm 121, reminding his son Joshua that it is God who will take care of all their needs.
I trust in God. Only God can help us in our time of difficulties.
You know, so much of the attention has been on Iraq, on Christians escaping Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, but this is also a part of the world we rarely get stories from.
We have to pray for Pakistan.
Amen.
Thank you. Great piece. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Coming up, millennials are rejecting religion now more than ever, but could this be changing?
God has a plan. God has a future and a destiny for every one of us. We need times of testing. You can't get strong without it.
I truly believe angels were there with me.
Are you willing to risk your pride and take a step of faith?
See true stories of people who overcame impossible odds in victory through life's storms. Available now.
God has a plan to do you good, not harm.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. 8 years ago, my husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Kids, we want them to grow up knowing God's Word. But in today's busy world, sometimes we could use some help. The free Superbook Kids Bible app has fun stuff your kids will love. They'll have a blast learning the Bible, playing great games, watching cool videos,
Follow me.
discovering heroes in the Bible. They'll have fun while they learn God's Word. The Superbook Kids Bible app, available on iTunes and the Google Play Store.
The millennials are the largest generation in America now. They're also the least churched group in the country, but the negative stats don't tell the whole story.
No, they don't. And as my colleague Caitlin Burke shows us, many of these young people are traveling out of the United States to spread the gospel around the world.
Each new generation gets measured against their parents and grandparents in a number of areas, including faith. The difference for millennials is that they're growing up in an age of nonstop news and social media.
If you are 30 or younger, chances are your belief in God may be on the decline.
Millennials gone godless. A new study shows that young people are abandoning the Bible.
According to research, this generation scores low on attending church, praying, and making religion a priority. But it's not all doom and gloom.
When it comes to millennials, millions remain deeply committed and active in their faith. It's just they're doing it their own way, and they're uniquely equipped to serve on the mission field.
This generation is the most globally engaged generation we've seen. They're the most cross-culturally prepared generation. Many would call them the first globals generation. 2 out of 3 of them have passports already by the time they're university students. They're so globally engaged already, I think they're ready to answer the call to missions and to go.
Every 3 years, the Urbana Conference brings together InterVarsity USA and Canada. Students meet and investigate God's call to world evangelization. Urbana 15 Director Tom Lynn sees a growing interest in justice and compassion-related missions.
Millennials care holistically about communities, and so not just bringing the message of the gospel or the message of Christ, but living it out. So it's both word and deed, and we're seeing millennials much more interested in committing to these types of holistic mission.
Terrible on camera. Like when we make our video.
In 2014, couples Katie and Jeremy Daggett and Jacqueline and Jake Blair followed their passion for missions to Peru. They fit right in the Christian Urban Development Association, or CUDA, one of the organization's goals being to overcome cycles of poverty.
Christian urban development, that Christian word on the front end is really important. We do all of it because we believe what Jesus did 2,000 years ago is what gives us motive and purpose and really hope in this context where we see wealthy and poor in the same city, where we see someone who's doing really, really well, is very established, and then someone who's on the edge of dire poverty. So that situation presents some unique opportunities, and we try to address those with CUDA.
Jacqueline, Katie, and Jake also put their medical backgrounds to work in a local hospital developing a diabetes program. Jeremy helps teachers improve their reading program success by starting libraries in local schools.
One of the things that looks like as the kingdom breaks in is that young kids read better and have better opportunities for the rest of their life. That's part of reconciliation for them, and that's part of mission work for us.
As all 4 use their skills to improve life for the Peruvian people, they individually focus on simply building relationships.
And when you look at Jesus' life and what he did and how he made disciples, he focused on a few guys and he poured a lot into them. And from there on, they changed the world, just a few guys. So when I think of my call to make disciples, I want to have a quality influence on a few people, and then those people can have a quality influence on a few more people, and then growth is then exponential.
Sometimes it means walking down the street, going to the market, running errands, going to the center of town and trying to meet people, sharing some of who I am, starting to learn who they are, and eventually moving that forward in terms of a sustaining and important relationship.
A commitment like this for a young adult brings a number of challenges, from starting over in unfamiliar surroundings to raising children away from family.
Being here, we've had to learn a new language and a new culture, and in reality, we feel very ill-equipped to serve the people here. And so really what happens is through our weakness, God's strength is shown, and when things happen for His glory, we know that it's Him and not us.
I think one of the main ones is being away from family. Luckily, we have the technology to FaceTime or Skype with our family as much as we want and get to see them. Now that we have a child, and that is our parents' grandchild that we have here in Peru away from them, that does make it a little harder as well.
Despite the challenges, these couples remain passionate and hope to continue their call to missions.
I feel like God's call for us here could be the same call for any Christian in the world, and that is to be a part of God's mission of blessing people and bringing people to know Him better.
Our prayer is for the kingdom to come and for God's will to be done here on earth as it is in heaven. Now we find ourselves in Arequipa, Peru, so our prayer specifically is for His kingdom to come and His will to be done here in Arequipa as it's being done in heaven.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Arequipa, Peru.
Thanks, Caitlin. And you can spread the word about how God is using the millennial generation. Just go to cbnnews.com and share the story on your Facebook page so your friends and family can watch it. And also follow me and George on Twitter and Facebook. We'll be right back.
CBN presents Victory Through Life Storms, the newest teaching from Pat Robertson.
You're about to meet people who've gone through some of the toughest struggles life had to offer.
The pain is something I just can't explain.
With 700 Club co-host Terry Mewson.
We all go through seasons of struggle in our lives.
I never wanted to be divorced.
They loaded me up on painkillers.
She said, "You are eaten up with cancer."
In Victory Through Life Storms, Pat Robertson will equip you with the tools you need to come through your personal storm victoriously.
In the midst of trouble, God isn't limited. It's such abundance.
See the stories of people who obtained their victory over seemingly insurmountable odds.
Take a step of faith. What he did for me, he will do for others.
Victory Through Life Storms.
Jesus said, look, all things are possible. Nothing's impossible. Nothing's impossible.
Available now.
To hit middle school and start having same-sex attractions was just very confusing because I had accepted the Lord when I was a little girl.
Right in the middle of this holiness code is a reference to homosexual practice.
I don't think Christians have anything to fear from research, from science done well.
They're like, oh, this is awful. You don't let him in the house, do you?
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Well, finally this week, CBN's Operation Blessing is literally shining a light in the darkness.
That's right. OB is providing lights for Congolese refugees at a camp in Rwanda, having partnered with a camp called Victory Missions and Pastor Paul Daughtery. They gave more than 2,000 solar lights to thousands that attended the camp. The solar lights will prevent the need for candles and lamp oils. Couples like Augustine and Joseph benefit from the lights as well, especially for their grandson.
Yeah, it's important. Light, especially I've been in some of these African places. Boy,
Oh,
they
yeah.
do not have electricity. So
yeah.
to have solar and to be able to come out and provide these guys lights, candles and lamp oils is terrific.
Exactly, because, you know, candles don't always work if it's raining or if there's high winds. And so this is fantastic.
Well, folks, that is it for this week's edition of Christian World News.
Until next week from all of us here, goodbye. And as always, God bless you.